Hi there, it's Julie, and I have a great video for you today. I'm going to be coloring with markers, but not just any markers. I'm actually going to show you how I got this watercolored look using alcohol-based markers that are called Copic markers. And some of you may be already familiar with these markers. Lots of times people like to have a very smooth blending, and I have a very mottled blending effect that I've used here to create this look on this great masculine birthday card. So to get started, I wanted to choose a selection of markers that would work well with the pattern paper I was going to use. So I'm using the What's Up collection by Basic Gray. It's got a great color palette, and I found a piece that I liked that had some colors I could pull my markers from, and I have a light, a medium, and a dark. Now, I don't use the numbering system the way most people do. I usually just scribble some color onto a piece of scratch paper, and if they look good to me, like they're going to work well together, that's what I go with. So to start, you want to stamp your image with Memento ink, and I actually missed a spot, so I'm just showing you really quick how to take this little Tsukineko brush tool to sponge in some color where I actually missed. And that'll help me continue on with the project without having to throw it away and start all over again. And to start with, now there's no right or wrong, but I'm starting with my darkest color first. A lot of times they say start with your lightest color, but I decided to start with my darkest color first. And I'm laying down the darkest color where I want to have shading on the image. And because I'm working with red, I'm actually not going to try to saturate or soak the paper the way you often are advised to do when you're blending Copic markers. So I just want to lay down a very light base coat very quickly, and I'm going to work from that. So now I'm going to take my medium toned marker and blend out from that darker shade, and I'm kind of actually going back and forth between the two, kind of flicking out and flicking back into the two to blend the colors and just lay down some of the medium tone. And I'm going to do this in all the areas that I want to have a little bit lighter shade, and I'm going to leave some white space there, and that helps me create this more dimensional look than just a flat layering of color. So as soon as I'm done laying down the mid-tone, I'm going to come back in with the palest shade of this family of reddish or shrimp reddish tones, or peachy red, I guess you could call it. And so I'm going to go over the white spots, but I'm not going to be too heavy-handed with it. I'm mostly going to concentrate on blending that mid-tone color back towards the darker shade of red that I first laid down. And I'm actually not being very careful. I'm not being very thorough. I'm just kind of flicking it around back and forth, and because I want that kind of painterly watercolored look. So I'll just lay down a little bit more color, and I'll just keep working with the different tones. And I'll do the same thing with the green tones. So I've got the dark green. I'm going to lay the darkest area, the darkest color down first in the area where I want the most shading, and then I'll come back and start working with the mid-tone color where that center section is. So it's going to lighten things up a little bit right there. And then again, as soon as I'm done with that, I'll come back in with the lighter shade and start blending back towards the mid-tone and the darker tone. And I will probably try to leave some white space there because I think the highlights actually help add to the depth and dimension of the project. So I'm going to speed up the camera here so you can see me. Yes, I really color this fast. Speedy Gonzalez. So then I decided I wanted to have some light blue overtone to the green shades to kind of tie in with the color of paper that I was going to be using. So I just quickly brushed that over the top, and that's the nice thing about Copic markers, is that you can keep layering the colors, and as you go, as the marker dries, you can kind of see how things are settling, and then you can come back in where you need to add more color, and you can also push color off to the side by using a lighter color and pushing the darker tones over to the side there. So now that I'm done with that, I've trimmed it out, and I decided I wanted to add some shading and shadow underneath the hot air balloons just to give a little bit more dimension. And I love to use this soft pale blue color because I think it helps make the images pop even more off that white paper. And then I chose this particular sheet of pattern paper because I thought it looked really great with the clouds there, and then it looks like the sun rays are coming through the sky. And then I'm going to 3D mount that hot air balloon right there over the top. Doesn't that look great? I think it's coming along very nicely. And once I've got that in place, I decided I needed a greeting, and I chose black, mostly because I think it kind of helps anchor the whole piece by having this black cardstock, and I'm going to white emboss these sentiments. So I prepped the surface first with an embossing magic pad because I don't want any stray embossing to stick, or the powder to stick in spots where there's any moisture or static electricity, so that really helps eliminate that. And then I'm working with the Hero Arts white embossing powder, which I just love this stuff because it embosses so smoothly, and it's a nice opaque white. And then once I have determined where that image is going to go, I need to trim it down. So I just wanted to make sure, as far as the width goes, that it's going to fit the card. And I'm using my square punch to just banner trim or fork trim or V trim, inverted V, I guess they call it, the ends there. And then because I didn't mat that pattern paper, it felt like it was kind of receding into the background, and I wanted it to have just a little bit more emphasis to draw the eye in towards the focal. So I just traced it very quickly with a black fine tip marker, and that's often a trick I'll use when I need to bring emphasis to something, but I don't want to add lots of additional layers. And then my white embossed greeting is going to get 3D mounted as well, right over the center of those sun rays. And I'm just about done, but I just kind of wanted you to see how fun that watercolored effect is, even though, I didn't use any watercolors at all, just Copic markers. And I'm going to come in there with the glossy accents because I thought, ooh, this would be cool if I gave it a raised dimensional effect and made it very shiny. So I'm going to let that dry, and I put it on pretty thick. So it goes on a little bit cloudy, but it will dry clear and have a really great finish, and it will magnify what's underneath it a little bit and also help those colors become even more vivid on the finished card. Isn't that cool? I think this makes for a really great masculine birthday design. And I hope you'll try coloring with Copic markers. Thanks for watching.